Warning, spoilers ahead. None of the material about to be shared is owned by me. This video is made out of admiration and love for both the Karate Kid trilogy and the Netflix series Cobra Kai. Thank you. And
no mercy, bitches.
Hey, I'm Andrew, and I'm back again for another feedback and review on Season 3, Episode 4 of Cobra Kai, The Right Path. This is a jam-packed episode. I mean, we're almost at the halfway mark, but this episode was, filled with stuff from beginning to end. So let's see if we can get into every little bit and piece of it. First off, I mean, you can't help but mention that soccer game and the lead up to it, which was the Dimitri Hawk showdown in the cafeteria. And little by little, the more you see Dimitri, or AKA Meat, he's getting more confidence. He's getting more bravado. I mean, the fact that he can go one-on-one with Yasmin, and she kind of was taken aback from it, shows the progression that character's made since season 1. And on the other side of the spectrum, you have Hawk / Eli, who is also not the same guy from season 1 at all, and is just progressively becoming a bigger asshole. I did not see this as the path Hawk was going down, but this is like every time you see him, he's just more and more of an asshole. I mean, the fact that the Cobra Kais are all now riding together and on their motorcycles with their Cobra Kai vest. I mean, that right there is bad guy 101. It's like classic Cobra Kai in the 80s. And then you have them beating up the smaller Miyagi-Do student, and now you just have him acting like an all-out dick for no reason. I mean, obviously there's some jealousy still for Moon. That's what progressed onto the soccer field when Dimitri went after Hawk and gave him that little cheap shot. It was all about Moon. So I don't know if that's going somewhere with Hawk and Moon in the future, but they're definitely that's the cord that keeps stinging Hawk. And that soccer game was an all-out riot. I mean, you had the music cue from Karate Kid Part 2 when Daniel's gonna go through the ice at the bar, and I love that music. It had a nice little tempo to it. But that soccer game was all-out brawl. Remind me of Stephen Chow's Shaolin Soccer. And in those scenes, we also get to see, there's something brewing between Hawk and Sam. They're both, it's over Miguel, but there's something brewing over there. I don't know if they're going to fight each other, but the two of them keep going at it. Ever since the hospital, they're going one after, so I don't know if that's leading up somewhere, but I was completely blown away when the principal, Love and Hugs principal over there, gave all the Cobra Kai's, like, they let him go. They let him go? Seriously? Like, what did he say to her in that office that convinced her that they were the good guys in that situation? And then you have the Miyagi-Do students, Sam in particular, who all of a sudden has become Judd Nelson from the Breakfast Club. I mean, are we going to get some detention episodes in coming up? I mean, because she was pretty harsh and she got herself back-to-back detentions, come for the horns. And moving forward, we see more of Robbie's story, and I feel really bad for Robbie. Robbie's in a shit place right now, and again, we try to get Johnny and Robbie back together, but it's always one step forward, 2 steps back. And when they were at the community outreach and he's trying to reach out, it looks like they were going to get together, and then it's that tension. It's that Miguel tension that, I've talked about in the past. It's something Johnny has to face because, and he did, he was confronted with it. And the fact that Robbie brings it up, it's not a hidden secret. And Johnny knows that. There is a jealousy of Miguel, that Miguel's getting a lot more attention than he is, and you can't blame him. Robbie has a point, but at the same time, without Miguel, Johnny would not be the man he is right now. So there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of different sides of this relationship. Um, and then we get back into these thugs, these bullies in the juvie that are just messing with Robbie, and I don't know where this is going, because are they just gonna keep fighting each other? Like, I do not know where this is going, and the fact that they had to tear up his copy of his book. I mean, uh, I like, what do you get from tearing up his book? Like, seriously, you're just an ass. You're just an ass. And I feel Robbie could slip, because with Kreese's visit at the end, I I don't know, because can he be influenced? And Kreese has that line early on in the episode. You have to prepare your strike. You have to strike premeditative strikes, and if this is not the biggest premeditative strike against Johnny, because that meeting in the bar with him and Kreese did not go so well, so Kreese knows he's not. I don't know if he's delusional, thing he can still get Johnny, but I don't see it happening. And if he can get his hands into Robbie, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother level of, like, I don't know what could happen. But it's just something that I'm very curious what's going to happen moving forward with that, between Johnny and Robbie, between Kreese and Robbie, between Robbie, Miguel, and Johnny. There's so many dynamics moving around right now with all these characters. Like, I don't know which way it's going to spin. And then we're hit with the big one. Okinawa. This is what everyone, especially myself, have been waiting for. What's going to happen in Okinawa? It's a complete random side trip that Daniel takes, since his deal in Japan, in Tokyo, did not work out whatsoever, and he needs some guidance. He needs some direction. He needs to find his focus. He needs to find his balance again. And he feels that's in Okinawa, but this is not the Okinawa that we remember. And he's in the cab ride reminiscing about his time there, and like, okay, so we're gonna get the same village. And what does he get to? It's a strip mall, the most corporate American strip mall you can find. And it looked like Mall of America, and this is Tomi Village. This is where part two of the film takes place, and this is so weird. It's such a drastic change for myself, for, I'm sure, all the viewers, and for Daniel. It's a total shock, culture shock for him. And in this search for this guidance that he's needing at this moment, who does he find? Kumiko. And I honestly, I didn't think it was going to be that easy to find her. I thought they were going to somehow play it differently, but there she was, dancing on the stage, and it brought me back to a scene in part two where Daniel is walking with Miyagi, and Miyagi sees an old music teacher, and he says,
"When I left, he was same place, doing same thing, playing same tune."
And damn, if Kumiko is not doing the same thing for one Daniel. I mean, she's teaching the children, she's dancing the bone dance. I'm most certain it has to be the bone dance that she was dancing. And, it's that moment. It's a moment that the two of them have instantly the second they see each other. And that dynamic is so special to see. And, it's unfortunate that we don't have the actors that portrayed Yukie, and we do not have or Sato, or these are characters that are beloved in the story of this film and the legacy of this film. To not have them there, it's sad. But to see Kumiko again is such a, so I was so happy to see her. But the dynamic between her and Daniel is so confusing right now, because there's this residual love between the two of them. Because if you remember from part 2 to 3,
she's not. She got this great job with a dance company in Tokyo, and I guess she just couldn't say no. So
they broke up. But with Daniel married and having kids, and there's this, like, these weird scenes where they're feeling like emotions again. Like, where's that going? What's the payoff there? I would love to see it, but you've already established him having a wife, so it's like, what are you doing? And it's a very odd moment, and I don't know where that's leading either. But it led to a very beautiful moment when it's revealed that she still owns Yukie's house. That Yukie left this to her in her will after she passed. And it's the one place in Okinawa that's still the same for Daniel, and that's not the balance, but at least some footing, some strong roots that he can hold on to that he can't find in a mini mall. And of course, the next scene is, there's always a very emotional scene throughout the season, and it always centers, at least for me, it always centers around uh, Miyagi. And anything that when you go back to Mr. Miyagi, that's when all the emotions come out. And when Kumiko brings out all these letters that he was writing to Yukie, it's, we're getting more into that, because I always wondered why she never came back. Why did Yukie never come back with Miyagi after part 2? And aside from this small mention in part 3,
But since we build house for Yuki in Okinawa, money very short supply.
she's never mentioned of again. So we see all these love letters that he was writing to Yukie, their time apart, and it's a beautiful moment for Miyagi and Yukie, who are not there, and for Kumiko to have with Daniel, because at the same time she is giving Daniel this this knowledge, is this feeling of, this is where I need to do. She doesn't know what she's doing. She just knows she's helping him with these letters from Miyagi, and it just so happened, and his last letter to her is what guides Daniel further, and it's such a sweet moment, and it's such a emotional moment, because you also find out that the time Miyagi spent when Daniel was a man, had his family, had Sam, the fact that he mentions that he felt like a grandpa to her was so sweet, and it's something I had hinted at before, because there's that overlapping. So we now know that he did spend time with Sam, and Sam knew Mr. Miyagi, to the point where he did feel like a grandfather figure to her, and of course a father figure to Daniel. And it's so special, especially when you see Daniel's reaction to hearing these last words that from Mr. Miyagi, that he hasn't heard in almost 20 years since, or no, since in over 10 years since he's passed. Mr. Miyagi's passed away, I think it was 2011. So, to have these extra words of wisdom thrown at him and to help him, guide him further, is just, another point in this story that I love. And to end the episode, he comes in real hard. It's Chosen, and I thought, okay, we set it up and we go to the next episode. No, he's right there. And what is he, a busboy? Is he a parking attendant? Like, does he just happen to be in the hotel where they're having a drink? Like, what's gonna happen? And we got leftover Kumiko, leftover feelings there. We have something to do with Chosen now. It's like so much is gonna happen. Like, I don't know. And if you think back on part 2, Sato's beef with Miyagi was over his pride. And there's a line in part 2 when he said,
Yeah, well, it was 45 years ago. He shouldn't be angry about his honor anymore.
Daniel-san, in Okinawa, honor have no time limit. In Okinawa, honor very serious.
and it's only been 30 years between Chosen and Daniel's big blow-off fight. You better think that there's some leftover beef there, and I don't know how that's gonna get settled. But I'm excited for Chosen being back. I'm excited for the progression we're making with each character, and see where all this is gonna lead. And we're at the halfway mark, and we got episode 5 coming up, and yeah, it's getting really exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens next. So thanks again for watching, and I appreciate it, and see you on the next one.